If Ohio State somehow gets in, does their freeze point have them enough to then win a national championship? Now, the freeze point, that is trademarked nomenclature for late kick. It essentially means, are you good enough? Do you meet the minimum baseline requirements that it takes for a team to be able to win a title? Absolutely, Ohio State meets it. And I think it would shock some of you to know that if those two teams you watched in Columbus last week, Michigan and Ohio State, you know, if they played right here on this little neutral field we're on, you know who'd be favored? It isn't Michigan. Now, it'd be a very small spread, but it isn't Michigan. And it reminds me, speaking of the SEC championship game last year, reminds me when we saw Bama, Georgia, and you saw Bama run them out of the building. You saw the same two teams play a month later. Who was favored? It was Georgia, favored again. And a lot of people said, how can this be? Well, how'd that game turn out? And so I'm not saying Ohio State would beat Michigan in the rematch. I'm not saying they wouldn't. I'm saying, yeah, I think it'd be a very competitive game. I think it would be at the very least a tight point spread. Now, the game would be what the game is. So the short answer is yes. Here would be my question. This is not far away from happening. We only need USC to lose in order for this to happen, theoretically. What would the mentality of Ohio State be? I was listening to our buddy Zach Smith talk about this the other day. I mean, he coached there, knows a bunch of players there still, knows guys on that staff, and I think even he was struggling to understand if they do get in the playoff, like, what are we getting from them? Where are they checked out? Are they able to check back in? C.J. Stroud, you know, what kind of performance do you get from him? Which Ohio State do we get? Because right now, you know, the team that would be slightly favored against Michigan, the team that would be favored or at least expected to fight Michigan, it's an all-in Ohio State team. Would we get that? I don't know. How did that loss impact them? I can speak pretty confidently for past Ohio State teams that if you offered them, if you dangled that piece of red meat on the end of a fishing line, hey, you just lost to Michigan, but we're going to give you another shot at it. You wouldn't even get the sentence out of your mouth before 47 of them just jumped up and took it from you. Is this team like that? Does this team have that kind of instinct about it? I don't know, and I think a lot of our viewers in Buckeye Land are kind of feeling the same way. I don't know. I don't really know if we have that. And you know what? History has shown us if you're still asking that question about your team by December, they don't have it. So, if they still get in, they get a chance to prove you wrong, obviously. But here's the flip side of that. There's always a flip side, Meemaw said. And the flip side is, what if they get in and get beat by 30 against Michigan? What if they got another shot? You talk about going from being humbled to being castrated as a program. You get in again, and then they do it to you. It's like basically when we saw Utah and Oregon play last year, and Utah just drug them like 38-10. But then 3 weeks later, voila, Oregon got a chance at redemption. They're going to play Utah in the Pac-12 championship game, splattered. And it was every bit as bad and every bit as physical a mismatch as it was the first time. That's Oregon-Utah. If that happened in the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, you're talking about folks going into a mental and psychological shell minimum until July. I would not see or hear from some of you until fall camp open next year. So, yeah, it's great for you to get another shot. Careful what you wish for, I guess. I think some of you feel that way, actually. Guys, thanks for watching Late Kick. Make sure to leave a comment. I love interacting with you. But most of all, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's how we keep all of this free.